All right, I'm back. Um, so, still working on the same problem. In fact, I've been doing that for the last 2 hours now. I did make my food, made some breakfast, and chowed down and kind of worked on this problem while I ate and watched a YouTube video about the guy who was making video games. Um, which I watch a lot of those to get ideas as to what I'm trying to accomplish. Uh, I think I figured out what my problem is. So we're not troubleshooting. Well, we are doing that. Ball security. And then we'll go. Okay, so I think I figured out the problem. I'm going about this wrong. My whole ball security plan. Okay, so it's fully based on fumbles. How often a player fumbles. Now, not all players touch the ball, but all players need a ball security value. So if you don't touch the ball ever, it's going to be assumed you have the worst ball security of the players that have ball security. That's kind of how it comes down to. Slightly worse because I have a small adjuster in there that says if you don't have any stats to quantify you, then you're going to get the worst values. Um, and what I decided was what I've been kind of coming up with is trying to figure out. Okay, so the average, you want the lowest fumbles, lowest number of touches per fumble. That's what you want. And then I decided if it's a really high, what the heck's going on at there? Oh, well, garbage. If you have a really high number of touches per fumble, then you get a bonus. It's a multiplier on the end result. And I think I was going about this all wrong. Um, and I think I've figured out what I want to do. I think. Okay, so the problem is that you can't. Zero fumbles is the best, right? No matter what you do, zero is the best. But you need to have some kind of a value to go with your results. So I could either add a number, knowing that all of my decimals but I want to multiply, and then I may have to scale. But for now, we'll multiply. So I have this thing, and I was thinking, well, if you have a really high number, you get a multiplier bonus. But what you want here is you want this ball security values, the higher is the better. You want high ball security. But what's that representative is a low average fumbles per touch, or low number of touches per fumble. So your average fumbles per touch is going to be like some number that's, some fraction of total touches. And I was getting weird numbers. I was getting a lot of zeros. See all these guys getting zeros, and I'm like, why are they getting zeros? They do have, they shouldn't. I mean, if you have zero fumbles, I get it. That's fine. 0 and 70. I mean, let's see. I'm actually impressed by anybody like Brett Favre. Did he never fumble that year? 541 touches and no fumbles. Is that right? I have a hard time believing that. Like I said, QB's not fumbling is pretty rare. Oh, it's not on the fumble. He's not on the fumble board. I got it. See, Brett Favre, Brett Kiesel, he fumbled. But Brian Dawkins, all these guys fumbled, but there's no Brett Favre. Interesting. Never fumbled, huh? Yeah, I'll be danged. Let's sort by player on this one. Brett. He's not even on there. Did he not rush? Brett never ran for it. He never said, "I'm going." I'm going for it, man. They're going to tackle me if I don't. I don't know why I have so many. There he is, Brett Favre. But no fumbles. I mean, he did get stuffed, but I don't see any fumbles. So, oh, there's fumbles. Is Brett on here? Brett. There's Brett Favre. He has 2 fumbles. Now, okay. I think my fumble board might be broken. Because he has 2 fumbles. Even though this stat says he has none. Which means my source data is wonky on this one. It's not even, well, it just says he's not on here, which is a sign of bad data. Huh. Interesting. I put a lot of stats in here. I don't know what I was using that for, but I was actually calculating a bunch of stuff with the fumbles. What was I doing? Is this actual math? Or was I just pulling stuff? Huh. I just had some random people in there. I was trying to calculate some stuff. That was probably from when I was actually working on my game, the board game. Karama, how you doing, man? But you're quick. Just logged in. I found out that a couple of things going on. One, wrong approach on my ball security, and 2, now my data's broken. I apparently don't have, some of my guys aren't on this fumble board, so if I've got guys who are returning no fumbles that are wrongly returning no fumbles, because Brett Favre is not on this list, but he did indeed fumble that year, so yeah, that's not. But still, that doesn't, I mean, I should still be getting guys with, fumbles. I mean, like this, Aaron Rodgers had 10. He should be popping up at the very least. Now, and I do know that there's fumbles in here. So the problem is my source data. I'll work on the source data. But I do need to adjust this. So I do know that I want my, it should be fumbles. It should be average touches. Average touches per fumble, right? Touches per fumble. So I want that number to be as low as possible. So we're going to rename this. I'm going to reevaluate this. In fact, per fumble. And see, I even have it named. Revisit ball security. That's what I'm doing because it's broken. So we're going to actually take trying to figure out how, you can't do division, right? I mean, you can't do, I mean, if fumbles is 0, total touches is not, so it's probably better that I do it this way. So I could either take it, is it fumbles per touch or touches per fumble? If I divide fumbles by touches, that's the average number. That's touches per fumble, or fumble per touch. And this is touches per fumble. Touches per fumble. So if this is 0 and I divide it by anything, that's going to be 0. but you can't have 0 touches per fumble, right? The lowest you could do, the worst you could be is 1. Right? I mean, 1 fumble for every 1 touch. But you want 0 fumbles per touch would be best. So if I divide it by, if we have 50 and we have 1 fumble, that would be 50 goes into 1, and that would be what? 0.2? 0.02? That'd be 0.02. So that'd be 0.02. It's not as good as 0, but it is a pretty good ratio. Because if you have 100, it'd be 0.0. It would be 0.01. Right. Okay, 0.01. So we have 0.01 would be 100. 0.02. If you happen to go to 300, 300 would be 0.003. So basically, I think I have to multiply by 100 so that my numbers actually have a useful value. All right, let's do that. Let's multiply by 100 because we're actually getting fumbles divided by times 100. All right, so this gives me the actual touches per fumble on a whole number scale. Even though if somebody manages to go 500 touches, databases, is it a relational database like SQL or a NoSQL type collections and documents like Mongo database? SQL, yeah, SQL's easy. Oh, SQL's so easy compared to Mongo. I mean, I understand the formatting and the practicality of Mongo, but a relational database is just so much easier to wrap your head around. What I mean by wrapping your head around is pulling data from it. It's just so much clearer with relational databases. Select statements, inserts, and everything you do in a relational database just makes sense. You don't understand what you got until it's gone. you start working with these I'm trying to avoid using foul nomenclature for it. These cluster databases. Fubar databases. I don't know what you want to call them, but they're just a big they're these. The premise behind them is good, and it actually is, I guess, fast from what I understand. I don't know why people. It just allows you to store data any old way you want. So you can put any data you want into a document, but then you got to figure out how to pull that data. So you could put like one record has 5 fields, another record has 20 fields, and none of those 25 fields have to be the same. And then when you do a select, it just goes and finds the field you actually want. It don't care. It's just going to look through the data and go, okay, well, let's find this piece in the data, and then we'll find the sub piece in that data on that one if it exists. And it just can find the search algorithms are just, they go find whatever field value you need based on the name, and it doesn't care what you put in there. So you can see my database is built a little bit like a relational database, but theoretically, all this data could be in one table and just be pulled if I wanted to be stupid that way. I don't know. Like I said, you still end up building collections, even in databases like this, I think, in some kind of organized fashion, if for no reason for your own sanity. But the thing is, not every value has to exist in one of these. So you can go to like my player stats and player stats data specifically, and you'll see that like I click on one of these guys, and he's got all the stats that loaded for him were just in-depth 3 and games played, which everybody has this one, but not everybody has this one. Well, if I go click on this guy also in here, he don't have any of that. He has in receptions and BCLS positions. He has games played, but his games played is a different set of stats. And he's got individual scoring stats. See, they have totally different data. The only thing that's kind of consistent is my parent values that, you know, looking up a player. But under stats, it's different for every player. They could have totally different data. And then when I go do a search in my table for any player that has whatever value, it's going to go find them, but it's just going to skip over all the players that don't have, you know, the parent value. Whereas in a relational database, if this was a relational database of any sort, every single one of these stats values would exist in every single one of my records. So in a sense, this is better for efficiency, right? Because you're not storing data points for things that don't, you know, that don't exist. If the players never had that data, it doesn't exist for everybody. But if a player has a bunch of data, then you can see they get all the data. So one of the things I'm doing with my player pool creation is part of it is it builds this table. And this is the player stats table. And it creates a much cleaner version in that it only puts in the values that actually exist or even that are actually being pulled. So this is all the data that's imported from my spreadsheets. But when I actually go through and build the player pool, or this table gets created, and it's a lot smaller, but everybody, this is the stats that everybody gets, so it's going to be the same for almost everybody. There's going to be different data points. And so in theory, if I were to write, I could separate this data creation here, and you'll see a lot of 0 points. So this is actually building a version of my table that's a little bit more like a relational database, because now every record exists for everybody. But the difference is all of those stats that I pulled in that I don't use are not here. So I could technically just pull in all the data. I could even shrink it to the point of not pulling in any stats, like the ones that are 0 values. I could probably put in some connection that says don't pull in any stat data that's 0. And then I would get a much cleaner database. I'd only have stats related to those guys, and it would only exist for those that have it. The advantage of having all the zeros is that I know that data is getting pulled. But all these guys have now the same, they have the same set of data, or at least they should. And it just creates a cleaner. So what I could end up doing is making adjustments to my source stats, or even just building a secondary one that actually imports to this first and then reads right out of this, which would be just so much easier because it would be a cleaner setup in my code. Because that other one is ugly. And the advantage to importing to a flat table like this, or a flat document like this, is then I could actually have a clean map that when I pull data for other seasons, because right now I'm just working with one season, which came in through my spreadsheet, I may have to figure out a different way to import data. I mean, it's still going to come in as a JSON. I'm going to have to make it come in as a JSON. Or maybe I'll end up pulling in data using something like a Python script where I go out and just pull it from like a statistics source. There's a Python database that's apparently, what do you call it, open source, that has a bunch of NFL stats that are, I guess, kept up. I don't know how far back it goes or anything like that. I don't know anything about it. Very little about it. But a lot of people use it for a lot of the stats you see showing up in the world. So I'm thinking if I could access that, which there are a number of tutorials and stuff, and I guess even AI says, hey, I know how to pull Python stuff from, so I may have to create some functions. And if that's the case, then I can actually go out, read that data, put it right into this flat data instead, and build all my stats off of this nice, clean, flat database, or flat records. Much easier to read and focus on, and I only pull the data I need. It's kind of like I'm planning for the future where it'll be simpler than the current, because I'm building all my stuff off of spreadsheets that I had formatted and created from stats a long time ago, and I don't even know if those same stats will be available in the same way or how they're being pulled or whatever. In the future, I'll just say, well, I just need, these are my 20 data points or 50 data points or whatever I'm using. I just need to pull those from Python and come in and pull it in. I need 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. Go get all these data points, pull them in, and then I can just read my new stats. So that's the future. That's what it'll be when I actually get around to working on the next season. But I'm not even pulling in next season data. That's pulling in future season data is like way at the bottom of the list. I'm working on one season's players right now just to get everything working. That's one of the polished things that come later when I start pulling in data for other things and I start adding. I have a more complete feature set, and things are just all there right now. I'm at that bottom. I'm still laying the groundwork. I've got architectural groundwork complete, but now I got to go game architecture or game framework needs to be built out, and that means having a full line from team creation to gameplay all the way to the end. And that just has there's a number of things, and that's just all I want for my demo. I don't want to call it it's not a full demo. It's certainly not something I'm going to release on Steam, I don't think. But it's something I could use to maybe help me get some publishers, say, hey, this is what I'm working on. You interested? You interested in helping me make this game? Because I would love. The rumor is that there are publishers out there who want good games, and they're willing to pay to help people make them. What it comes down to, though, is, all right, so you get a publisher. They say, well, if you get a good publisher, if you get one that wants to be part of the fun, you get a publisher who pays you, hopefully enough to live for a little while. You build the game gets made, gets deployed, and you make nothing from it because the publisher gets everything until they make up what they paid you. And if your game does well and is successful enough that the publisher gets their money back, then you start making money off of your game. But you kind of made your money. It's kind of like getting an advance on writing a book. You're getting money now in lieu of them getting the money later. And until that money's recouped, you're not getting anything else. So you've got to like define the parameters of your publishing agreement. You'd say, okay, I agree that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in this game for this money. But I might also have an A, B, C, D, and E that need to get done, or I might want to get done. And I will throw in whatever I can, but it's either X, Y, and Z in the course of 2 years. And then we could talk about if you want to pay to have me do these other features in the next year or two, or maybe I deploy it and I go work on these other things for free. And when I deploy the next, the next version, that's my version, whatever. But I don't know. You got it. It's going to be tricky because I've heard you can get screwed by publishers too. I mean, some of them aren't so great. Others are very good from what I've understood. But indie games are hit or miss, and they got to see the value in it. And there are a couple of games out there that are, will I stand out? Will I be better than theirs? I don't know. I some of these games have a lot going for them, but I don't think they have my games. My games got stuff going for it that those games don't have. Anyway, so let's get back to it. All right, so I have touches per fumble. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I said it, but congrats on your database test. I'm glad it went good for you, man. And SQL is a good language to learn. SQL is, if you're going to learn a database, SQL Server will be around forever, and there's a lot of people still using it. In fact, there's a lot of game developers who use SQL Server on the back end. And I got really good at SQL to the point where I almost admin level. I don't know if I ever got quite to admin level. There's a difference between a database developer and a database admin. Database admin probably, in fact, my experience has been that they're not as good. They could not code what I did. I created an entire application that used SQL. You can actually code almost entire, depending on what the application is. You can almost code an entire application with SQL. That's what I did. Very, very robust, pretty awesome looking database application. It was, if I say so myself. No, but I was pretty damn good. But I still didn't know all the little back end things for creating, optimizations and stuff. I mean, I could write SQL in an optimized way, but I couldn't. I mean, SQL Server's got all these little settings. I mean, you could get back into the guts of SQL Server and do all kinds of tweaks and such to create optimal performance. And that stuff I didn't really know too well. But I got pretty good at writing SQL and stuff to the point where complex queries and logic in ways that were about as optimized as you could get them. It's been my experience. But there were some people I met that were probably better than me, but not many. If I say so myself. All right, so let's get back to this. Total touches. Touches per fumble will be this number. If I were just to say, I think it said I can't use comparatives, but I could just use so that would be as little as 0. I don't know. I feel like I need to see some numbers in my head. I don't know why. Because it's always going to be a decimal. It's smaller, but it's not 0. So then you multiply by 100. So that brings it all the way up to some positive number. You can't really have more than... The max number here would be 100. Right? Because you divide fumbles by however many touches. And the only way you could get... Well, I guess you got 5. Let's say on the high end you have 600 total touches. I mean, quarterbacks, and some people might get upwards of that, but quarterbacks are going to usually have the most touches because they basically touch the ball every play, right? So if you say you have 600, and you have no fumbles, so, well, we can't say that, but let's say you have 1 fumble divided by 600. So the likely best ever value here would be, and if I multiply by 100 right now, that'd be 0.17. So you'd have a 0.17, which is a nice tiny number. But you're probably going to do no better than so the range would probably be 0.17 to 100. Because that would be 100 would be literally you fumble once every time you touch the ball. which there's no way you ever get to, because you'll be out of the game. You're never going to fumble 100 times out of 100. But you could fumble 3 times out of 3. But then things get even more weird when you do that, because then you have to divide and do other weird stuff to reduce the number. So, all right. So if the best you can do is 0, and the lowest realistically is probably about 0.17. I'm going to go ahead and round this. I want to round. If I go times 100, we're going to cut off all the zeros. Oh yeah, all right, we'll say common. Round 2, comma. What did I do wrong? Oh, do I need another print? There we go. Okay, so fumbles per touch. Let's just change that to average. Fumbles per touch. And we want this to be very tiny. 1.7 would be the best. Or 0.17 would be the best. So if I were to take the fumbles per touch and say, okay, I want to give people a reward . So what is, if I were to say fumbles per touch, and then I don't need this anymore. So if I said, let's go 1 divided by 300. 0.33. So if we were to say less than 0.34, and we want low numbers, so we're going to say 1, because a low number is a good number. Approximately 1 fumble every 300 touches. And then what is it? 1.5. less than 0.5. Approximately one fumble every 200 touches. And then I'll say 2. And then we have 1 divided by 100. Oh wait, did I do that wrong? Was that 0.05? Oops, I think that was 0.05. Oh no, it's 1. Because I'm multiplying by 100 though. So that'd be 1. Less than 1. Oops, less than 1. 1 fumble every 100. Two. Less than 2. 1 fumble every 50 touches. Actually, that's kind of, I almost don't care about 50 touches. I'm like, that's like, eh. I feel like 50 is not that big of a deal. But if you get to multiply your value by 1, that means the number is going to stay super tiny. So, and then I think I want to invert these numbers on on 1. Maybe I'll invert them on 1. Let's go fumbles per touches. Actually, let's take this number. Now, I don't think I want to do the touch modifier just yet. I think this number, we will get my full average fumbles times whatever. Yeah, okay, so it's actually this number. All right, now, then we're gonna go, we've got to make an adjustment here. We're gonna go ball security. This is the value, but I first want a scale value. Scale value. Whoops, get, no. Is it get? No, it's scale value to range, ball security, comma. Oops, oh, the scale value to range. What am I doing wrong here? we're going to say yes, we want to invert it. But we're going to scale it on well, the worst number is 1. So on 1 to 4, because you can't do less than, it's 4 times 1 divided by 1 is 1. Wait. If 1 divided by 50, oh, so carries is 100, carries is 50. How does that work? Oh, 100. Oh, if 100 is the highest number? Oh, gosh. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So it'd be 100. That would be really bad, but it could be on 100. Theoretically, it could be 100. I don't think anybody would reach 100. Like I said, it is possible, I suppose, it is possible that you would have a 100. I guess some players start off that way, right? Their first play of their career, they fumble the ball on the first play. Now, they may go on to never fumble again, or who knows, whatever, but you can, for a brief time, be a 1-for-1 player. But the odds of that have got to be astronomical to have that go for any period of time. And I already take out anybody who's carried the ball less than 10 times. Well, not true. I take out anybody who's carried the ball less than 10 times and has fumbled 0 times. I guess I could say, no, I'm not going to do it. So if you theoretically could have 100 and the penalty for that nonsense is 400. So you'd have 100 times 4 is 400. You could theoretically be, I don't know if I want to scale it on something quite so big. I'm thinking on like 1 to 5. I think 5. I mean, maybe that's, if I say I scale it on 100, then I don't have to do this ever again. I was just thinking, I just want to invert the scale. It's already going to scale based on min and max value of ball security. Oops, I gotta do one more step here. Adjusted ball security equals ball security scale times adjusted touch modifier. But that's going to shrink it. Oh, I see. That's why I was waiting. That's why I was waiting. I was waiting till I get the ratio, and then I can apply the modifier to it. What I should probably do is get base security value. scaled security value. Security skill. There we go. Scale security value. I could probably learn to type. That would be useful. All right. Oh, did it undo that? Okay. I don't think I want to do that though. All right, well, no, let's go back. Never mind. I think ball security is fine because that's what it is. It's the base. It's ball security. I will call the actual scaling later ball security skill because that's what it really is. Nope. Nope, I can't do that because that's not the norm. Boo. I gotta stay with my same nomenclature or I'm gonna screw myself up. If I have everything named a certain way, I gotta stick with it. All right. Fine. Okay, so we have that. We're gonna take this value, we're gonna swap it over. We're gonna flip it to 1 to 10. If I take it to, now there will be people, there'll be a lot of people with less. And they could get numbers easily in a 4 or 5. I mean, I don't know what the normal is, but let's see what kind of numbers I get. I think I do have a ball security test. I should probably run a ball security test. But I do want to invert. Do I want to invert on 10? Sure. Let's invert on 10. That should give me a decent range of stuff. Let's see what happens. I may have to change these. In fact, I should probably put these in as variables. I don't like hard coding like I've said before, but this will allow me to. Let's go here. Git bash. cd FPFM go ms / player skills, and then we're gonna go test dash run test ball security dash v. That's probably the wrong name, but declared and you. Huh? probably. What's it talking about? That number that doesn't exist, does it? Oh. All right, so that isn't the name. Let's go look at my tests. Hand skill, face blocking, random players, dedupe, run blocking, tackle. I don't have a test for that. What? Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle, man. Huh. Alright, well, guess I need one. Whew, man. Need to go create a test. What are you doing? Players. Skills. Offensive skills. Task. Task. Create test for all security validation. And we'll call this one in development. Alright, so which one do I want to mimic? I always forget which one's a good one to mimic. I think I have a lot of them. Hand skill? Let's go mimic the hand skill. I need a new test. I need a test for the get ball security skill function. Created and placed in the offensive set offensive skill desktop profile. Created same format as the I do let AI write my tests because it's done a pretty good job with them. I've edited a few of them, tweaked them, changed them to my precision needs, but when I just out to copy a different test, it just whips it out. It's usually done in a minute or two. So rather than me trying to figure out what I want to add, it does some pretty good job of looking up some values, and it's been pretty good with it, so I'm like, I'll just let AI write my tests. And they could be a little long-winded. It does some asserts and some value testing. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Brief break. All right, let's try and run this thing. Test ball security. So guys with 0 fumbles and maximum number, but fumbles 330. Some guy's got 10. He got 0 fumbles in. I definitely got to fix my. Wait. So how did a guy with 60 get a value of 10? Oh, you know what? This code isn't. I got to run it a few times. This doesn't fix the scales. You got to run the scales a few times so guys can start changing. See how the numbers start changing now? Now I've got 8.6. I don't have as many 10s. And the more I do this, the less 10s I should get. Yeah, see, like all these. Now I'm getting numbers. I've only got 110 in there. The Leonard River, 85 fumbles. But yeah, you got to. Or 85 carries and 0 fumbles. Roddy White, 86 touches, 0 fumbles. He got a 10. Lavernus Coles. I don't know why he got a 10 though. I should probably log on here. Wait, what does this say? Is not greater than or equal to 1. Test ball security. Total touches 3, fumbles 0. Should it be greater than or equal to 1? Probably should, because my scaling says so. My scaling says it's 1 to 10, right? Oh, but then we get adjusted modifier, which pulls them down. Math.min 1. Whoa, what just happened? Did I hit the wrong button? I was typing over here and somehow I ended up there. There. Let's see, that should fix that. Oh, right, nope, that ain't gonna fix that. That's gonna screw everybody up. It's supposed to be max. Never mind, just kidding. Wait, how does that even happen? That's, oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to go undo my scaling. Because my scales got broken. Now only a bunch of 10s again. Actually did pretty good that time. Just trying to do this till I kind of wipe out most of my 10s. I got quite a few 10s. I think I got 1,400 players, so it's real easy for me to end up getting. I gotta do it enough times where it's unlikely that I get 10s. So I don't understand. I'm still trying to figure out how this happens. Because I shouldn't get, if this guy's like less than 40, his number should be totally different than a number like this guy with 93. He's going to have a different number. And they all get full value for their value. So how come my scaling is putting them all at 10? Because that would mean okay, so none of these guys are getting that, but let's go. Well, I'm not going to worry so much about the ones, but what if my ball security equals 10? I just want to see what we got here. And then we want to say player position. Oops. So this will give me a idea. And then we're going to say how are we getting scaled on 10? So we're going to take this value. You're too slow. AI, if you're gonna help me, do it quicker. Don't dawdle. Oops, did I not save? Pringling. Print. That's why I got confused, because it says I don't even know what that word is you're using. It's like, oh, now you want me to type stuff? I don't want to type stuff. All right, so we're getting a few guys. All right, what do we got? Average fumbles. What is average fumbles? Why am I getting... That's not average fumbles anymore. No, it's fumbles per touch. Fumbles per touch. Let's go say... let's put this in here. Low fumble bonus. And we'll just we don't need to round that because it's already a whole number. What is touch modifier? Or not touch modifier, but touches considered, total touches? Oh. Let's try again. Got a 1, got a 1, got a 1. A lot of people getting a fumble bonus of 1, so I must be doing something wrong with my math. It seems like everybody gets a fumble bonus of 1. That's the problem. What are my values? Average. Average fumbles per touch is 0? Oh, because what, they had no fumbles? So all these guys have 0 fumbles. Well, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. You're messing with me. Alright, so that's where things get wonky when I have 0 fumbles. Everybody's getting the low value. Because I don't have anybody here who's getting a fumble. What? I know there's fumbles. Some of these people have to have fumbles. I know my stats aren't great, but somebody's got a fumble. Can't have that many players without fumbles. None of these guys. Fumbles, 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 fumbles. Nobody has fumbles. How can no? Oh, these guys. This guy has fumbles. Bobby Whale. He had 8 fumbles. Got an 8.89. But how do? I still don't under. What's with what? Something happened? That's a lot of exclamation points, man. Must be something pretty serious. So basically what's happening is they're getting a perfect score because 0 is a perfect score. But there should also be, but 0 is a perfect score. Oh. It is normal that one leaves the race without knowing how to program. What? Are you talking about quitting? I don't know what you're talking about. He's saying, I don't want to do this no more. This programming is driving me crazy. It's the creation process to me. I don't really care for coding. I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of coding in itself, but it's the creation of stuff that comes from coding. Is it normal? Well, sure. If you didn't go to school for programming. If, however, you did go to school for programming, that's probably a little more rare. It's definitely possible for someone to go into school to learn how to code, graduate because they're good at tests. They understood just enough. They weren't failing tests. They were just getting by. But then you come out and you're like, yeah, but look, Karama, here's the thing about coding. It starts to click. Trust me. When you first look at code, and code is weird at first. Everything, I mean, it's like learning a language, right? So you try to go learn Spanish. I was going to say Japanese, but I'm like, that looks like a foreign, like a alien language, not a foreign language. But like, say you want to learn Spanish. For me, I took Spanish for 6 years from junior high through high school. So it's junior high 3 years, high school 3 years, which is high school 4 years, junior high 2 years, the way my schools were. But still, 6 years. For 5 years, I averaged a C. In my senior year, I got straight A's. And it's not that I was suddenly fluent in Spanish. I just suddenly understood a lot of it. I could understand. I probably still didn't speak it very well. And even now, I know a lot of Spanish. But I mostly am really only good at reading Spanish. And I've lost a lot over the years because I don't get a chance to practice it much. But at the time, it's like anything. You do it enough times, and trust me, it starts to click. Like even me working with Go here, and trying to get these formulas going, and getting my mind wrapped around them again. Because when I had first built a lot of these formulas and a lot of what I was working on 10 years ago to build a board game, I was I was in the zone. Well, come back here and start working on it again, and trying to wrap my head around the numbers and the logic and refocusing, and of course also trying to do it in code was kind of a big undertaking for me again, because I'm trying to connect synapses and build synapses that can logisticize what I'm doing. Well, I'm getting to that point now while I'm writing this where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fix this and do that and zip around, because I'm starting to gronk what I'm the full process, and then when I go to other functions and other parts, it starts to come to you, and you just kind of have to keep pushing through it. And if you don't know, like say, AI, explain this for me. So, hold on just a second. That was my wife. She apparently forgot to feed the dogs this morning and didn't tell me. So they're probably going, have you seen dinner? Did we miss something? There's no food up here. I probably should go feed the dogs, but anyway, it does start to click. It comes to you. But here's the thing about school, and you know, there's only so much you can get with. I never liked learning things like this through school, and here's the reason. To be honest, I'm self-taught, right? I've never went to school for programming. I took one class, but it wasn't like a class. It was one of those like advanced. It was VB actually, Advanced Visual Basic for Applications. No, it was Advanced Visual Basic.net, and this was back when, you know, people were still using Visual Basic. I don't know. Does anybody still use that anymore? I don't even know if it's still out there. But C# is kind of the thing now as far as Microsoft languages go. But overall, I took it thinking I could learn some new little tips and tricks kind of thing, because I knew it pretty well. And I don't know if I did. Maybe I learned something. I don't know. But the problem with formatted structural teaching is they're doing stuff that's boring. It doesn't interest you. It doesn't click. You know, they're having you do these examples for weird little business solutions or weird little thises and thatses, and you're like, this is not doing it for me. Or sometimes it's not even that. It's like they'll have you write these micro programs that you're just not into, right? I mean, it's cool to see things succeed, but it's really hard to gronk the big picture. And I don't know, college may be different. Maybe they're getting better. But they may even have you work. I mean, at the beginning, it's going to be extra hard because you're still learning the concepts, right? Because you've only been doing it for a year, right? I think it's been about a year since I started, and you've kind of been coming around since I started on this project. And it's you got to learn all the basic structures, but I don't think you necessarily have to know all those things to start a project. Because to start a project is actually to start getting your mind to see how all these bits and pieces work together. You understand enough in the first year to say, okay, well, I kind of know what variables are, and I know what the structures and loops are, and I'm learning some syntax for some language. But again, I don't think syntax is that important anymore. But understanding what's going on in the code is important. And understanding what you're looking at. Like everybody, you know, so many languages do different versions of if statements and switch cases and everything. But you'll start to look at code, and as you start to recognize different things that you're doing along the times, all these things are just functions and methods and whatever else. But you start to understand how the code is coming together, and it's not that hard to read. And once you can read code, it's going to become less and less important to know syntax. I'm telling you, AI is going to take care of syntax. And if you're having problems with syntax, like I didn't know Go syntax at all. And even now, even though I'm getting better, I still miss a few things. Or if I can't remember exactly how to write something, I just say, hey, what am I doing wrong with this? And it'll go, oh, you need to do this. And I'm like, oh, okay, now that I know. Or like I try to do a switch on this, and it says you can't do conditionals on a switch. And I'm like, oh, so, or not conditionals, but comparatives. So it says, well, just, you know, write an if. Basically, it told me to write an if statement instead, so I did that, if else. But So that's kind of where it kind of comes down to. It's more of a it's more of just spending time in it, doing something you want to do. If you can, come up with a project that you can apply your newfound knowledge to, and I think it'll start to stick better for you. It's my tip of the day. All right, so I got a couple of minutes left. I think I'm close to being able to get this. I want to stop at in 9 minutes, because again, I'm trying to keep my segments shorter. And I will come back. I got to go feed the dogs. I'll come back after that and work on the next thing, if I can get this done in 9 minutes. I think I'm close. What I'm noticing, though, is I'm getting a lot of 10s. And a 10 on a 320 is fine. But I shouldn't be getting a 10 on, what is he? I got, oh wait, no, ball security values. So I got a ball, I got a 10 on a 65. I should not get a 10 on a 65. I saw what I'm doing is I think I'm partially misvaluing things. Because I'm giving them a bonus based on how good they're doing. But I'm also giving him, and because a 0 is a 0, automatically, you're just getting the best scenario. So what I need to do is put in a range or some kind of a minimum value. Like if fumbles is 0, fumbles per touch is 0, then maybe I pass. What if I go? Because this is always going to end up 0, which is always going to be 10. And I don't think the only way you should be able to get a 0 is if you have more than 300 touches. Everybody else should get some kind of a value. That's what I think is going to happen. So let's do this. I think if I were to say a 1, no, I can't change it to fumbles. I can't change it to a 1, 2, 3, or 4. That'll screw everybody up. that would be very bad. But I did say the lowest is 0.37. That would be 300 to, that would be 1 in 300. But I need to give some kind of a base because it's not as good. I think it's like, honestly, I think if you've only touched at 65, that should be like 1 in 65. Right? So it should be, how did I do this? I feel like there's a simple formula for this. So basically, if it's under 300, or if you have more than 300, maybe I should just say fumbles has to be at least a 1. I still say 0 is the best, but if I don't use a number, then everybody's going to have What if I just add 1 to whatever their fumbles is? No, that's not fair, because then I really screw up people. If you have having a if you only have 1 fumble in less than 100, then you suddenly have 2 fumbles in less than 100, and that's not fair because you only had 1 in less than 100. But 0 is better than 1. So everybody needs to go up some amount. If 0, okay, so everybody needs to go up the same amount without breaking anybody. Average fumbles per touch. Average fumbles per touch. So if that's 0 and I turn it to 1, if it's 4.5, it becomes 5.5. All right, let's try adding 1. Just try adding 1 here. I could even go simple, super simple, and just add like 0.01. No, that would be too small. Let's just add 1. Just to make sure we're not dealing with a 0, and this should force everybody to have some kind of a number, because we can't be just straight up 0. And that would mean some people have a security bonus. No, that don't work. It's not going to work. Ah! 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 I know. I think I got it. I think I got it. I got it. Who would have thought programming was so much of a difficulty? All right, so let's do this. If fumbles greater than 299, or I'm sorry, fumbles. If total touches is greater than 299 and fumbles equals 0, all right, I know, wait. If let's do this even easier. Less than if total touches is less than 299 and fumbles equals 0, fumbles equals 1. I think that might do it. This should give everybody at least 1 fumble, because the assumption is the next time they carry the ball, they'll get a fumble. It's like that's or that next number was their fumble number, and it would be 1 in the next number. So what I could do is what I'll actually increase the total touches by 1 too, just in case it matters for them. Total touches plus equals 1. We'll just assume the next carry would be a fumble. So theoretically, this guy would still be good at 300. Because he got to 299, but if I add 1 to his total touches and then we go do these calculations, he still gets the best possible fumble value, 1 in 300. So he's still okay. All right, I think I got it. I think I got it. I should or at least if my brain didn't just fart on me here. What time is it? Ah, it's 1:31. Let's test it quick. Drop. Collection. And run this. What are we going to get? We're going to get some weird numbers because it's the first time through. Six touches, 0 fumbles. But no 10s. Good. I mean, somebody might get a 10, but none of these 20 got 10. Found 20 players with 10 plus carries. A lot of nice variety, nice comfy variety of numbers. That's what I wanted to see. Even at 102, the best at 102. Dallas Clark and Ted Jim both touched it 102 times without fumbles. They get 859. But it's still not good enough because it wasn't 300. All right, I think I got it. I think we're good. Ball security is fixed. Yay me. Or at least I think so. All right, so now I should be able to run my player skills here. Let's go ahead and drop the player pool. And we will drop the scaling values again. I'll tell you this, though. I am so glad that this thing confirms with me about dropping. It makes me type it out. Because I have so many times, I'm so used to going refresh, drop, refresh, drop, refresh, drop. Sometimes I just go drop and I don't click refresh. And I click drop database and it goes and type it. I'm like, wait, what? No, I don't want to drop the database. It's like, luckily I haven't tried to type, oh, what are you talking about? PFFM. Oh, blow it up. No. It wouldn't matter. I mean, my game and my system is designed to rebuild all that stuff if it's not there. So theoretically, I'm fine. But I still don't want to do it because I put a lot of dummy data in there that I needed for now. So that's it for me for now. And I have some other things to work out. Got to go feed the dogs. And I will be back. Till next time. God bless.